Hello everyone, Highlander here from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review, and today we're reviewing a card by KorandAngels. Is this the first KorandAngels card we've reviewed? I could be wrong about that. Let's just do a quick... I think this might be the first. So welcome, KorandAngels, and if I'm wrong, then welcome back. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so he said this is from an asymmetric cycle he's working on. So it looks like color-shifting planeswalkers. There's 3 of them here. Here's the first one. Teferi, the Chronologist, 3 and double white for a legendary planeswalker Teferi. Is this... Did you alter the colors of this card? Let me take a quick look at the original Teferi here. No thanks, Google. Scryfall, Teferi, Hero. Yeah, this is okay. So you altered the colors. It's kind of cute. I mean, look, as those of you that have watched my channel for a while know that I'm a stickler. I'm a big stickler for art. You know, I have to take points off for using the same artist Teferi. I mean, yes, you've shifted the color. But it's the same art. So it just looks weird. It's distracting. You know, that's kind of the issue with art, is that if art isn't done well, it distracts from the rest of the card, right? Now, I know that it's probably difficult to find like good planeswalker art for Teferi. You know, again, these Teferi, especially these Magic characters. But like, I don't know. There's one. There's a good one. I'll just use this Teferi. Just color shift this guy. Look at him. He's like in the clouds and stuff. I mean, come on. Like there's lots of, there's actually, okay, not lots of, but like, oh, that's from like the old Teferi. I don't know. There's a lot of, look at it. I don't know. There's like some stuff here that you can use. Oh, look at that Teferi. This one's like perfect. So yeah, I guess I gotta take points off for using this art. Anyway, let's move on to the actual card. Okay, so this is mono white for Teferi. When Teferi the Chronologist... Okay, hold on. Let me define Chronologist. An expert in chronology. Great. Chronology is the science of arranging events in their order of occurrence and time. Okay. Very well. Okay, so he is a 2/2 human wizard in addition to his other types. Okay, interesting. Target creature you don't control phases out. +7. Each creature you don't control phases out. Each creature you don't control phases out. Wait, oh, target creature you don't control phases out. Each creature you don't control phases out. Okay, so this is a very strange design. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this phasing is like pretty bad, because I'm pretty sure MTG rules phasing. I'm pretty sure that that something phases in at the beginning of your next upkeep, right? So phase out on their next untap step. Yeah. Oh, jeez, look at these ads. So basically what happens here is you +2, you phase out a creature, and then pass the turn, and then it phases in immediately. So this isn't really doing what you want it to do. Now, I don't blame you for not knowing how phasing works, because phasing is a little bit complicated, and it's not really commonly used. But yeah, unfortunately, this doesn't do what you want it to do. I suppose... Okay, I suppose it's not true. I mean, you could use this to just get blockers out of the way. So maybe that was your intention. So I take it back. You could do it that way, right? So you play this guy for 5, and you can +7 each creature you don't... Huh. Okay. Each creature you don't control phases out. Okay, so you can drop this guy and make their whole board disappear and attack them so they have no blockers. And that's a +7? That I don't get. That I do not get. Shouldn't this be like a -7? Maybe you meant to make this a -7 and you accidentally made it a +7. That would be my guess. Okay, so yeah, because at +7, this is absurd, right? It's like they can just never block anymore. I mean, they can attack Teferi back, of course, the next turn, but you've +7'd, so he goes to 11 loyalty. Yikes! Yikes, man! And I mean, why would you even use this one? I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is supposed to be a -7. Because at +7, this doesn't make any sense. I think you meant to make this a -7. At -7, it makes more sense. Because, like, you play this guy, you +2 him, you know, you take a blocker out of the way, you attack. You know, you do it again the next turn, and then the turn after, you get to -7, and then you're left with a 1 loyalty planeswalker. Now... here's something weird about this card, okay? If you lightning bolt this card, does it just kill it, or does it take loyalty off, or both? I guess both? Right, because this is a 2/2. Human wizard. Most of the time when planeswalkers are creatures, it says prevent all damage that would be dealt to them, to sort of avoid this weirdness. I don't know the exact rules, but I'm going to assume that if you lightning bolt this Teferi, he just dies because he's a 2/2 human wizard. And for 5 mana, that's pretty vulnerable. I'm not really sure why this is here like this. Like, maybe the idea is that you can, like, attack with him, but he's a 2/2 and he's a planeswalker. Yeah, I don't really... I see this as more of a liability than a benefit here, right? I don't know if that was your intention, but I'm assuming it's not. Because you're paying 5 mana for this planeswalker, right? Like, this fits in a white aggressive deck, this planeswalker, right? That's really the only place this card fits. In a white aggressive deck, I don't know if you want to pay 5 mana for a 2/2 that phases out a creature. It's just so vulnerable. Like, I don't know, for 5 mana you really want to be doing something powerful, and this card is just so vulnerable and not that powerful either. So, yeah, I don't really get this 2/2 human wizard thing. Maybe, like, I'm guessing that your thought process is that, like, because this is a white card, you want to be able to attack, and because this is a white card that's in an aggressive deck, you want to be able to attack with it, but it's a 2/2, so it's, like, very weak. So if you're going to do this, I would probably add prevent all damage that would be dealt to it, because not only does that make this guy better at attacking, and not a liability, it also gets rid of the weirdness of, like, okay, well, if I deal damage to this, is it going to the loyalty or is it going to the toughness? And again, I think maybe both. I don't actually know the rules of that, but anyway, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So I think this card's actually quite weak for again, assuming this is supposed to be a -7, which I think it is. If this is a +7, then wow. But assuming this is supposed to be a -7, this card's actually, I think, quite weak. I would probably cost this at 4 and prevent all damage that would be dealt to it, or make it a bigger body, or both. So yeah. So that's how I feel about Teferi the Chronologist. Also, the name doesn't quite make sense. So a chronologist is somebody, as we already read, the chronologist. The science of arranging events in their order of occurrence in time. For example, the use of a timeline or sequence of events. It is also the determination of the actual temporal sequence of past events. I don't quite see phasing fitting into that. Right? Like phasing is like, oh, you're banishing him from this dimension or something like that. But there's not really anything that has to do with time here on this card. So I think there's quite a few issues with this card. There's some interesting ideas here. Like there's certainly some interesting ideas here. Like a planeswalker that's just always a creature that can like remove blockers, I think could be cool, but I think there's better ways to do it. Also, like, why not just tap the creature? That's more of a white thing than phasing. Phasing is almost always blue so far. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I think in general, phasing is very blue. So yeah, I think I have to give this one a 5 out of 10. I think the ideas here are cool. I really think this card could use some tuning, some love, right? I think some new art. I think making this card cheaper. I think changing this phasing to tapping. I think changing the name. And I think making the body bigger, preventing all damage, or both would really help this card. So yeah, as it stands, I think this card is both very weak and a little strange. Still doesn't quite feel white. Still feels kind of like a blue card. So yeah, that's my review of Teferi the Chronologist. Cool idea, but I think the execution here is lacking. So yeah, I'll go with a 5 out of 10 for Teferi the Chronologist, and I'll see you guys next time.